Randonautica was a craze for us spooky people, and a lot of people compare it to the way that Pokemon Go took over the world, except maybe on a lesser scale. Launched in February 2020, its intriguing premise was extremely well timed with the global pandemic. Randonautica was a game filled with mystery, but it was the game's interactive features with the real world that really got people excited. Not only that, but with the app requiring you to play the game only outside, it made for a lockdown-friendly game that you could actually play with your friends while staying 6 feet apart. So, like I said, the app's popularity seemed to stem from both novelty and good timing. But it didn't take long for things to seemingly start to go wrong. As this app absolutely blew up on TikTok and many videos of people showing their Randonautica adventures started to blow up, we all started to notice that this app was taking people to very strange locations. From literal crime scenes to creepy text messages from unknown numbers, and then yes, at one point, seriously, a real dead body. Because of all these creepy experiences that people were having, it of course, as it does on the internet, led to conspiracies that are actually still alive and well today. We'll explore the question, is Randonautica connected to the dark web? Why does the app boast itself as a quantum physics-based app with a quantum random number generator as its like whole shtick? And how is this app seemingly leading people directly to something related to their set intention? We're gonna explore this through a 2024 lens now that so many videos and so much exploration on this app has been done. Many people remember this craze, but I don't feel like a lot of people know that it is still alive and well. People are still posting their experiences and actually getting really great views on these videos. It's crazy, it's creepy, and that is today's video. Hey humans, it's Hannah. Welcome back to the channel. We are going to get right into this Randonautica madness. However, this video is supported by a sponsor, so I'm going to roll to that, but I'll be right back with you. So you know that horrified feeling that you get when you just happen to Google yourself and it turns out that a bunch of public sites have all of your private information. You don't remember sharing your personal information with any public site or company, but yet they have it, and not only that, but they're displaying it for the world to find. Today's sponsor, Aura, is specifically designed to help you solve this issue. First of all, data brokers are making a fortune selling your information to robocallers, spammers, and others who want to learn more about you, like, you know, where you live, things like that. Or it can identify data brokers exposing your information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Turns out brokers actually are legally required to remove your information if you ask them to. However, they go out of their way to make it extremely difficult because of course they want your information. So Aura is designed to fight the battles and do that stuff for you. Aura also has a lot of other capabilities to protect you and your family from online threats. They have parental controls, they're an antivirus software, they're a VPN, they offer password management, identity theft insurance, and more, all under one affordable price. It's really easy to set up too. You don't need to download a bunch of different apps or anything. Recently, Ticketmaster was hacked and the data of 560 million users were put up for sale on the dark web. The data that was stolen included full names, addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, and credit card data. At best, this whole thing is going to lead to so much more spam, but at worst, it could lead to fraud. So what is Ticketmaster doing about it? Nothing. They said they didn't think that the hack would have a, quote, material impact on our overall business. I am not willing to leave myself vulnerable to data breaches, and if you don't want to either, you can go to aura.com/HannahTheHorrible and try your first 2 weeks for free. This link will also be right below this video at the top of the description. Okay, so first I want to take you guys back to 2020 and we're going to rewatch one of the videos that went the most viral. Not the suitcase video yet. We will touch on that one again later because you can't talk about Randonautica without talking about that incident. However, I do want to just revisit this 2020 really viral TikTok because I think it really embodies everything we're going to talk about today, and it's a really interesting video. So let's talk about this first. This is one of the most notorious Randonautica videos from when the craze was huge in 2020. This TikTok is from it's a now deleted video, but it was a user named McKenna Ray, and she was only 18 years old when she took this, and she was with her friend or boyfriend, I'm not sure, 18-year-old Darius.
I just went randonauting, and our intention was death. We were on our way to the spot, and I look out my window and there's someone laying in the gutter with their wife literally like on them, holding them. And so I parked and got out, and he got shot. And then she gave me the phone and I had to call the cops. And Darius he wrapped his jacket around the wound. And then the cops came and we got questioned, and I just had to leave. And I just dropped Darius off.
Like I said, millions have seen this video. However, few people went on to know the context around it because she actually did make a follow-up series. Unfortunately, I believe that McKenna has deleted her TikTok, or that TikTok account is gone. I could not find the original follow-up series, but I will explain what happened in it. First and foremost, McKenna was not lying about this encounter. A lot of people accused her of just making this up. And even when I made my first video about Randonautica back when the craze was crazing, I even said in my video that I don't personally believe that she was lying. However, I had no proof that she wasn't lying. It just seemed like a really genuine reaction to me. But since there has been proof that this was a real encounter and McKenna was not lying, the Aurora Police Department of Colorado later tweeted about this actual incident. And as you can see by the tweet, it was from June 24th, 2020, the same day she posted this video. In her follow-up video, she also explained that thankfully, even though her intention was death, the man who was the shooting victim did not die. He recovered from his injuries. However, it was a real shooting, and the shooter was, according to McKenna, random. It was just a random drive-by or random shooting. Somebody came out and did this to this man. People in the comments were also quick to blame McKenna and Darius for literally causing this shooting. They said that they basically manifested this shooting to happen in the first place because when they went into the app, as they admitted, self-admitted, they set their intention to death. These accusations are beyond me. This is the whole premise of this entire video. We're kind of looking into whether our brain can affect where this app takes us, right? Which we're going to get into in a minute here. But even if that is true, it doesn't mean that they caused a shooting. If this whole mindset intention thing leads to where you end up from the app is true, to me, that means that this shooting was going to happen anyway. It was already going to occur. It's just that by setting their intention, that's where it brought them. It brought them to that particular scene. Not that they went to that scene and then the shooting was caused just because they set that intention. You absolutely, in no circumstance, can blame somebody for a random, unrelated person to them pulling out a gun and deciding to hurt people. And then in her follow-up videos, the most important part is the context, is the fact that they were in a neighborhood, or they were in a neighborhood in the area of Colfax, Colorado. Apparently, Colfax is very notorious and well known for a high crime rate and shootings. Some people in the comments were even referring to it as the hood. Now, I do agree with the sentiment. In many cases, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Like, I do agree that if you're focusing on death and setting that as your intention, don't be shocked when that's where it leads you, or it leads you to something scary. However, even if I think that this was kind of dumb of them to mess with this kind of stuff, regardless of if it's true or not, I don't blame McKenna for being upset. I think it's still totally valid that she saw something very traumatizing at only 18 years old, practically still a kid, and was upset by it. I don't think people can be mad at her for being upset. Even if it was her fault that she set her intention to something scary, I think it's still okay to be upset by it. She also explained that she had been playing this many times before, set her intention to happy, other positive things, and nothing ever happened. She never got any results out of that, and so she didn't think it was going to be a big deal to set their intention to death. It was kind of just a joke. I think McKenna's video is so important to the next section of this video, which is what is Randonautica? And don't worry, I know that many of you know what Randonautica is. Stick with me here because we're actually not just going to talk about the app, but we're going to dive deep into what this whole quantum physics mind matter interaction thing is that the app boasts about and claims makes it different than geocaching or other random GPS coordinate apps. Randonautica is an app that came out in early 2020. The premise is simple. You download the app and first you set your radius. So you could set your radius to 10 miles or more if you're willing to drive somewhere. But if you don't want to drive somewhere and you only want to walk or bike somewhere, you could set your radius to 2 miles or a half a mile. Then after setting your radius, you choose the type of anomaly that you want to play with. This part is very confusing and not many people on the internet seem to understand it very clearly either. The website is no help, and you'll find that as a theme on the website is that it uses very complicated and science jargony language that wouldn't make sense to the average person trying to understand and read it. The app explains that there are several types of anomalies that you can choose from. One is an attractor. The website says that an attractor are improbable dense clusters of random points within your set radius. And then voids are clusters with improbably low density within your set radius. Like, huh? That is such a, I know it technically makes sense, but that's such a confusing way to phrase that. Why phrase it like that when most people playing this app are not scientists? My understanding from my research is that, like, picture a map. You have a blank map. It has your set radius on that map. And then all the things in your area that Randonautica could lead you to are represented by a dot on the map. In the spots with tons of dots in a small area, so that's a high density area, and you want to go into one of those spots, you choose an attractor. So an attractor is where there's a lot of dots clustered together and you pick one of those spots. However, then there's also areas spread out with not as many dots, and if you choose one of those dots, then that is a void, so it's less dense. The app also explains that you can choose something called a power, which is the most powerful or strongest between attractors and voids. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just say F it and choose something called a blind spot, which would just be a completely random point within the radius you set. A lot of people online say that the attractors lead to positive experiences and voids are going to lead to negative experiences. However, there doesn't seem to be any tangible evidence behind that, so take it with a grain of salt. That's just what some people claim their experience was. So after that comes the fun part. First, you set an intention for your trip, as we touched on when watching McKenna's video. This step is completely optional. You could just go to a random GPS coordinate and from the app and see what happens. But people seem to have the most fun, or for that matter, the least fun, the scariest experiences when they set an intention. And this seems to also be what makes the most viral worthy videos. So you could set your intention as glitch in the matrix. You could set it to death, as McKenna did. You could set it to magic. And so with those, you might find an optical illusion. You might find a crime scene, or you might find a fairy circle of mushrooms in the forest, respectively. So what is this quantum random number generator thing all about that the website boasts about all over? As much as I love the idea of this app, and I am planning on going out and randonauting again to see if I have a better experience than the first one that I did. Not that I had a bad experience, it was just boring. I didn't find anything. But as much as I love the idea of the app and I don't have a problem with it overall, I do have a very, very strong gripe. And I kind of said it earlier, but I don't appreciate how on the website there's so much complicated jargon that honestly doesn't make a lot of sense. And it really feels like somebody is trying to use a bunch of sciencey words to sound really smart and sound like they know what they're talking about, even though they don't actually know what they're talking about. For example, this is a quote from their Randonauting 101 page within their website. This section talks about setting your intention. This process uses theoretical mind-matter interaction paired with quantum entropy to test the strange entanglement of consciousness with observable reality. Like, you know what I mean? It sounds like somebody trying to sound sciencey and legit when they're just throwing words out there because they don't have any scientific evidence to back up their claims. To be fair, they do follow it up with a much more clear sentence. Quote, "Randonauts often find their journeys result in serendipitous experiences that seemingly align with their thoughts." Which, in my personal opinion, that's all they had to say. They could have skipped the rest of it, but that does make more sense. And on the homepage of the website, Randonautica advertises itself as a quantumly generated create-your-own-adventure app. And it's very clear that the point of the app is to test out a hypothesis that the mind-matter interaction is true or not true. The mind-matter interaction is something we're going to talk about a lot in this video, and that is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Can you set this intention, and can that affect your results? Can that affect the coordinates that the app brings you to? Now for the quantum stuff, it always says the word quantum and quantum generated is thrown out a lot on the webpage. It is admittedly confusing, and if you're confused, that's okay. So I've been sent on a lot of sciencey rabbit holes for this channel. This one really tested me, but I do personally think that I am fairly good at looking at everybody's explanations and kind of coming up with a digestible explanation for the average person to understand. However, with that, remember that my explanation is a very, very simplified one. So take it with a grain of salt. Basically, I am not a scientist. This is, again, just my understanding from reading and spending way too much time going down a rabbit hole and reading all the stuff on this. So if you're a scientist, you might want to cover your ears because this might be painful for you to listen to. Okay, so we have random number generators, right? RNGs is what they're often referred to as. The idea is exactly what it sounds like. They select random numbers for you. Dice, for example, are random number generators. Digital random number generators are very important for tons of stuff. You just don't really think about it day to day. So like think about, gaming, for example. There is so many random number generators needed for the codes, the back end of gaming. We need them for computers. We need them for encryption. It's a way to generate actually random data. However, the average random number generator is flawed. Most RNGs are not truly random. A computer's RNG is going to have a person behind it that created the algorithm for the random number generator. If some really smart cookie could figure out the algorithm behind the RNG on that computer, then theoretically, that person could predict the pattern and could predict them at least better than a actual truly random number generator. If you're confused, another way to think of this, and I saw this in my readings, this isn't my example, but I forget where I got it from, but if you ask a group of people to sit down with a pen and paper and write out 100 numbers. Ask them to write out specifically a random string of numbers. Human brains are going to be naturally biased. So if you look at somebody's string of numbers, there might be a lot more sevens in that string of numbers than twos. There might be barely any tens or ones, and there might be way more fours. So most RNGs are just fundamentally flawed, and the numbers are not truly random. So my understanding of this whole thing is that a quantum random number generator, so a QRNG, is going to be a random number generator that creates more truly random numbers. I personally, the other example that comes to mind is like Candy Crush, where like it's supposed to be all random, the candy that comes down, but for some reason I feel like the whole game is rigged against you. So you can only beat some levels, so you're motivated to keep going, but then there's other levels that you could take weeks to try and beat because it feels like it's supposed to be random, but I don't think it's really random. I think with a quantum random number generator, if you had that behind Candy Crush, it would actually be truly random. I hope this all makes sense. It basically means that a quantum random number generator is going to be truly unpredictable. Therefore, you would really want a quantum random number generator to set up your encryption codes for you, because that way it's less likely a hacker could figure out the pattern in your random numbers. You get where I'm going with this. Randonautica claims that their software, their app, their behind the scenes is with a quantum random number generator, not a random number generator. generator. So circling back, why is this important? Remember, we just talked about the mind-matter interaction and how it's testing the hypothesis on if our minds can affect, if our intention that we set can affect the coordinates we end up with in the app. If the random number generator they use in their app was an RNG and not a quantum random number generator, that means that the coordinates that they give you in the app would not be truly random coordinates. They might be biased in some way. So the experiment, the test to this hypothesis would be flawed in that matter before you even walk out the door. But if the coordinates you get are quantum RNG, that means they are truly random, and therefore there's fewer variables, and the only variable is your intention. So that means if the coordinates are truly random and you set an intention, and where you end up ends up being directly related to your intention, i.e. you think of death, you end up at a crime scene, then that means because it's truly random, randomly random number generator, that means that the experiment is more pure, in theory. It means that proves that your mind was the one that led you to that location, not the app being influenced. So going back to McKenna manifesting and setting her intention as death and then running into an actual shooting victim. This is why I said that there's no way that even if this mind-matter interaction was true, that McKenna could have caused a shooting. And I want to remind people to steer clear of this kind of magical thinking, because that's exactly what it is. If the mind-matter interaction is in fact a real thing, and remember, it's just a hypothesis, that means that there's no evidence behind it. It just means that McKenna, through her intention, brought herself to a scene that was already going to happen, not that her manifesting caused the thing itself. I do want to go back and revisit some of the 2020 super viral moments because, like I said, we can't really talk about Randonautica without talking about these moments. I don't want to spend too much time on it though, because I really want to focus on the 2024 aspect and kind of like where we're at now that this app has been out a few years. But for shits and giggles, let's go back in time 4 years. The account Chris Sees Ghosts. Chris and his friends went randonauting and they got led to a very weird place filled with a ton of coffins with like spikes under the hood of some of them, and then other weird like medieval torture device looking things. I would really like to think that this was like a Renaissance fair props that got dumped somewhere, but it's really creepy either way, and nobody knows. I couldn't find the video for this. Again, a lot of these have been deleted, or I just could not find the account because the account was called Frozen Meals. And obviously when you Google Frozen Meals TikTok, nothing related to an account or user comes up. It's just frozen meal ideas and frozen meal based accounts. So very unhelpful. So I couldn't find this actual TikTok, but allegedly Randonautica led them to a detention center, and they claimed that a random phone number texted one of the girls while they were at the location and said, "Are you real?" They then saw the word real in graffiti on a nearby wall, which again, if this is true, is so creepy. It makes you feel like someone was watching them. Then there's the people that just find very strange things. One of the biggest criticisms of the app is that it was taking people to private properties and places that they should not trespass on. The app does warn against doing anything illegal or doing anything remotely close to trespassing on their website. They do say don't do that. And they also, the app does like tell people not to go at night. They say only randonaut during the day. They say bring a trash bag so you can clean up trash while you're in the area. So the app does, I feel like the developers did have good intentions with hoping that people would leave places better than they found it. But of course, when millions of people are playing a game, statistically speaking, some of them are just going to be buttheads and they're going to trespass just because the GPS coordinates are in that private property, and they're not going to listen to the rules and they're going to trespass anyway. Okay, before we move on to the conspiracy theories and the dark web crap, we also need to just quickly touch on the dead body in the suitcase thing, because this event is really what brought so much attention to this app. And I think overall this event, even as traumatizing as it probably was for the teenagers, was a really good thing, because it did, I mean, at the end of the day, it helped solve a case, and it helped put a very, very bad man behind bars. This one hit very close to home because it occurred in West Seattle, and a lot of you guys know I am in the Seattle area. A group of teenagers went randonauting, and they went out to the GPS coordinates given to them by the app. I don't think they set an intention that I know of, and it took them to the beach. It took them to a washed up suitcase that was like in the rocks. They pulled it out of the water, they opened it, and there was a bag inside. It smelled terrible. They peek into the bag. They thankfully don't open it too much because they realized very quickly that it was human remains inside of this suitcase. The teenagers did the right thing. They immediately called the Seattle PD, who taped off the area and investigated the scene. They did confirm that it was, in fact, human remains. And like I said, these teenagers uncovered evidence from a real unsolved case. This TikTok alone led to the arrest of Michael Lee Dudley. Michael Lee Dudley was a landlord, and he was charged and later convicted of killing his two tenants, 35-year-old Jessica Lewis and 27-year-old Austin Weiner. The two had rented a room for Michael in 2019, and apparently there was some turmoil between the three. They had arguments over late rent or unpaid rent or what have you, which, if that is true, that is sucky. Pay your rent to your landlord, you know, but also they definitely 1000% did not deserve to lose their lives over something so stupid. Anyway, Michael killed them both, and he dismembered their bodies, and the suitcases were how he tried to get rid of the evidence. He threw the suitcases into the water, I'm sure not expecting that they would wash up later. I'm sure that was quite the shock to him. I would have loved to see his face, because he probably thought they would just sink. What we didn't know at the time, though, was because he had to go to trial still, was that in April 2023, he was convicted. He was found guilty for these murders, and he was sentenced to 46 years in prison. Michael is already in his late 60s, and so it is more than likely that he will spend the rest of his life in prison. Okay, so let's talk about a much more fun part of the video, in my opinion, because, and it's fun to me only because I don't believe the conspiracies. I know some people would argue this is not fun, but I just think that the conspiracies are totally BS. So I find it pretty entertaining. So the conspiracy that a lot of people believe is that this whole quantum number generator thing and testing the mind-matter interaction is sort of a front. A lot of people believe that the app is very well connected with the dark web. Some people believe that the creators behind the app, like this was their intention from the beginning, but I do believe that most people, if they believe the conspiracy theory or are scared that the conspiracy theory could be real, I think most people believe that the founders of the app don't have anything to do with it, but just that people on the dark web got a hold of the app and started using it for evil, if that makes sense. As most conspiracies go, it involves children, because that's the thing that's going to outrage people the most. And that is why conspiracies get fueled so quickly, and why so many people are willing to believe it, because they know it'll spread easier, because they know that anything involving harm to children is going to incite outrage. And while I totally agree with the sentiment, obviously harm to children is heinous, and I think it's like one of the few things that both sides of the political spectrum can agree on. Harm to children bad. It is often weaponized in conspiracy theories to make people more scared, in my personal opinion. I just think that's why a lot of conspiracies take off, because a lot of them are conveniently related to children and trafficking. So the most popular conspiracy I've seen floating around is that people believe that dark web users are using the dark web to track Randonautica users. So they're looking where people are going so they can track people's location very easily, and that the app allows your data and allows your location to be shared with people on the dark web. So basically, people on the dark web are setting up traps. They're like hijacking the app and setting up coordinates for people to go, watching those coordinates, and then using that as a way to target people, especially children, to therefore abduct children. But the problem with this conspiracy, and the majority of other conspiracies, I know that some conspiracies do end up being based in truth. Like, I get that. I'm not denying that. But this theory, along with a lot of conspiracies, there's no evidence behind it. There is no proof. It's very similar. It reminds me very much of the Wayfair thing, where it's like people were just grasping at straws to try to make it believable. No one that we know of, as long as Randonautica has been around, no one that was playing the game was then later connected to a missing persons report or a missing persons case. So I'm really confused as to how people even really came to this conclusion, because nobody has disappeared that we know of in direct relation to playing Randonautica. One guy on TikTok really did not help things. He made an entire series supporting the conspiracy. He had been playing the game. He set his intention to glitch in the Matrix. And he set this intention because he wanted to, quote, dig deeper into the mysteries of life. And weirdly, he was sent to a building that had Matrix written on it. Like, that was the name of the business. But then he noticed that close by there was a Star Trek toy manufacturer. And then also close by there was an adult booths. I think it meant an adult arcade. If you don't know what that is, I'm not sure if they're even around anymore. I'm sure you can find them, but they're kind of what they sound like. They're usually attached to adult shops and stuff like that. And there's booths. You pay money and you go into the booth to be completely alone and private, and you watch adult films. One of those buildings was nearby. I'm not sure if it was an active adult booth building or if it used to be that, but regardless, he was like, why is there a toy facility really close to an adult facility? And then another business close by on Google he found was listed as sales multi-child. But to many non-conspiracy theorists, this just seemed like a mistake of the listing on Google, as it was a children's clothing store. But alas, it was enough for many, many people, of course, to therefore believe that this was a front for a child traffic ring in this area of California. Huge jump, in my opinion. Like, I know people want to go viral. I understand the need for views. Hello, I'm a YouTuber. But to go out and make deliberately misleading content like this, and to deliberately try to scare people that might already be prone to being scared and believing conspiracies are real, is just so irresponsible to me. And I don't care what this creator says. They know exactly what they were doing. A good modern example of these conspiracy theories still being alive and well is this TikTok. This was just posted in June of this year, and this was randonauters who set out their intention when they went to be money. They went out and they found a suitcase. So here is the first TikTok.
Hey guys, welcome to Shit. The suitcase.
So that one's short and doesn't have a lot of context, but the next video they post does have more context and is much more helpful. So let's watch that one.
Is this the money? There's no money here. No money. Shit. What? The suitcase. No. Wait. Shut up. I'm so serious. Okay, film it. Are you recording? Yeah. Wait, I'm actually kind of fucking scared, bro. I didn't think this was serious. Like, why the fuck is there a suitcase right here?
Sorry to disappoint, guys, but we got really scared when we saw those men. So we got in the car and did a couple laps hoping they would be gone, and every time we did a lap they were watching us. The last lap we did, the suitcase was gone, so we will never know if there was money in there.
So in the video, it almost seemed like they did see in the suitcase and they did see that it was money, but then at the end, she explains that they didn't actually see if it was going to be money or not. So I don't think that was actually confirmed, but they ended up running away because there was creepy men watching them, which totally understand. So this led to a lot of comments saying that perhaps this is actual confirmation of this conspiracy theory and that it was a suitcase full of money, but that it was a trap. Because why else would two men be kind of there watching you specifically go up to this suitcase? Like, did these two men set up a suitcase off the side of the road to look kind of weird, hoping that somebody, or hoping that a lone person or lone woman came by and looked in the suitcase, and then when there's money in there, they get like super distracted, of course, and are just like, holy shit, do I take it or do I call the police? Like, what do I do? And it's a trap so that while they're looking in the suitcase, these two men can abduct them. Now, this does actually scare the crap out of me. This video at least seems real, and it wasn't just like grasping at straws like a lot of other people are. I don't know if the conspiracy is true. However, I personally always err on the side of something being a trap, but that's just because I'm a very paranoid person and I don't trust anybody until they give me a reason to trust them. So I just kind of assume like anything like that could be a trap. I think that's just err on the side of caution. I don't actually know if that's what's going on here. Maybe those two men were minding their own business, and just because they were like playing this weird game and like doing something sketch, trying to go find what this suitcase had in it, maybe they were interpreting their behavior as strange, and maybe those guys were just eating McDonald's in their car, you know? Okay, so we're gonna watch and talk about some more Randonautica videos from this year. Most of these were all posted in June. I think it's making a comeback for summertime. This is from the account The Unknown RGV, and it was just posted on June 21st.
We were told to use the Randonautica app. Here's our experience. Gave us a random location in McCollin X. It took us to a random field that was 20 minutes away. It took us to a dead end, but we continued exploring.
I'm guessing it means this. No, watch. The road area, maybe we'll see them. Oh shit, what the f? Oh, there's someone running? No.
Someone or something started running in the pitch dark area.
You lowering my fucking window for it. What is that though? What is that? Why is someone running? No, lower it down, lower it down. You're dumb as fuck. Can I lower my fucking window? You can see. What the fuck? Dude, nah, fuck that, bro. There's someone running. Bro. Oh, shit. He's just running. Dude, that's just too fast though. It's fast, right? Yes. Dude, go. Oh, it's right here, John. It's right here.
We looked back at this footage, and if you look closely, the eyes start to glow. And this guy just disappears in midair. What do y'all think this is?
I don't know if they set an intention for this trip, but notice that they picked a void anomaly. So they picked one of the dots that are in a not very dense area of dots. Now this video is very, very creepy, with the runner disappearing at the end seemingly, and the runner running faster than normal. So I don't personally think that this video is like that as creepy if you think about it though. I think it's possible they edited it, but I think it could be explained even if they did not edit the video at all. So the glowing eyes from the runner, like that makes sense. They probably were reflecting their headlights or some other light out there. Like people's eyes reflect light all the time, right? And then for the guy like seemingly to disappear, I did watch this video back in slow-mo on my phone quite a few times, and to me it just kind of looks like the angle of their camera changed, and so the guy kind of looks like he disappears when really they just changed the angle to be angled upright more at the sky, so the guy kind of disappears into the landscape, if that makes sense. Like I think that could explain the disappearing part if it's not edited again. But then also like the running part, like again, if it was edited, they could speed up the footage. I don't personally think that they edited it. I think this could have just been a really creepy encounter, but an explainable creepy encounter. I mean, what if that guy was just sprinting? Again, I know it sounds weird because it was nighttime, but if you look at his phone very carefully, it says 10:41. It wasn't that late. And I know there's a lot of night owls that either get up in the middle of the night to go running at 4 in the morning, or people that just don't go to bed till 2 or 3 in the morning. And so they do their exercise before laying down for bed at night. It could be somebody training for something. They know that there was like this abandoned field, and so they were literally practicing their sprints and maybe just sprinting, and then they were like, oh, there's this car that pulled up. That's awkward, but whatever. I'm going to keep sprinting. It would be weird, but I don't think that's like impossible or even really improbable. I mean, no matter what time I drive along, I feel like I see a jogger on the side of the road. So that's just my opinion on this video. It's creepy. It would be interesting to know if they had set an intention, but it's creepy, but I think explainable and not necessarily nefarious. This next one is from June 10th from an account Jordan Christine, and I'm going to read this one to you while we watch it because it's like text on the screen. So it says, since we're telling Randonautica stories, my friend and I once goofing off set our intentions to hot guys, and it took us directly to a house that had burned down and had not yet been cleared or cleaned up. So we were just parked in front of this freshly charred and disintegrating house in shock. A comment, of course, as usually, accused her of lying. So she posted a follow-up video proving that she was not lying. So here's that video.
Okay, so the video's ending soon, but we decided to manifest hot guys, and it's taking us back to the road that her name was on. I feel so weirded out right now. We asked for hot guys!
So she does in fact prove that as they asked for hot guys in the app, that's where it took them. Okay, and here's one from June 17th, posted by an account called Jules Alexis. This is another one I have to read. It's currently sitting at 4.6 million views. It says, this one time we decided to randonaut and we decided to manifest something sad, and it took us to a cemetery. Our point was in a dark nothing area, so we were planning to turn around when a lady came out of the darkness screaming and crying. So here's that video.
What is it?
Secure your valuables mission.
Responsible for any personal loss, stolen, or moved. Oh, moms.
Oh, this is mom.
Yeah, I don't think you said mom. Mom, then turn back, mom. If we have to think about it, it's not.
Yeah. No.
Mom, literally turn back.
Okay, there wasn't such a big ditch right here, but yeah.
And it's deep as hell down there.
That is
Okay?
deep.
No, mom.
I was going to.
Okay, well, Bella, film up here. This would have been where our destination is taking
Somewhere
us
down
to.
there.
Somewhere down there.
Of course
here.
it does. It's 2 minutes away, 3 minutes away still.
So
We'd have to go all the way up there through this whole thing.
500 feet. The destination is on your left.
Well, God, you know, if we wanted to be risky, we could, because they would end up by the circle. Because the circle's right here. And this little thing would really just end up way over there.
What do y'all think? Should we go?
Right here, but there's a huge freaking deep.
Is that somebody?
Here's a really quick part 2 to that video as well.
No, I heard somebody. Hold on. Oh my god. No. Oh my god.
Now, again, to be fair, I have no proof that they didn't set this up. They could have had somebody else in the car that went up ahead and did something creepy so they could get it on camera. I watch a lot of creepy videos though, and again, my gut feeling is that this also was not set up and that this is possible that there was somebody out there, you know, and so that is creepy. I've been wrong before though, don't get me wrong. It's just that that's what my gut instinct says, is that I don't think this was set up, and this is very creepy. It does just look like a person in the cemetery at night, like maybe it was the groundskeeper or something, or there are people that dig graves in the middle of the night, I believe. I believe, right? I'll double check that and fact check that here. Okay, we're gonna watch a couple more, but I just want to like interject here to say I have a point. I am going somewhere with this, so bear with me. I will get to that in a second, but I'm having fun watching all these with you guys. So, okay, so this one is from Charlotte Jacob. This one's sitting at 500,000 views. Very good, but not like quite as viral, not millions like the others. This one was posted on June 22nd.
We went randonauting for the first time. We manifested something creepy, but led us to something we had been wanting. We went through the spooky underpass. We carried on to Randonautica location. In the distance, we could see an abandoned building. And led us to a summer hangout spot we had been looking for ages.
Very cute. That one's not as creepy. I mean, it's a little like weird because it's a little liminal, spacey kind of thing outside, I guess. But it's not like nothing's happened. Nothing scary happened. Okay, this next one from Real Horror Talk. This one was posted on June 27th, but they're discussing, I think, an older video. It might have been from a few years ago. I'm not sure because the person who posted it themselves said that they couldn't find the source for it, couldn't find who originally posted it, but I needed to include it because it's terrifying. So let's watch that one.
So my friends and I are about to go randonauting, and I see a lot of people saying that they find creepy shit on here, so I figured I'd record it to see what actually happens.
For this terrifying video, I couldn't find a source. However, I've never seen it before, and it all starts out when a group of friends decides to go randonauting, and initially they were disappointed because they didn't find anything. That is until they find a trail of what looks like blood and they decide to follow it. And it did not go well. But here's that first clip and let me know what you think.
What the fuck is that?
It smells pretty fresh. Is that
What the?
Is it blood? No, that could be paint. Hold up, is that a trail? Wait, look.
So there's like a blood trail, so we're following it right now. So the blood leads over here, and it keeps going down that. So Matthew's gonna go down.
Look, there's more blood.
Okay, I'm running out of time. Like, and comment for part 2.
After following the trail to a dark alleyway, one of the guys volunteers to go it alone and see where it leads. And this is what happens.
Yeah, there's a thick trail. Like, look at this shit. Holy shit. That's kind of sus. All right, I'm going, guys. What the f? Hello? What? Nah, no. Yo.
That one's also very, very creepy, but I 1000% believe that one was set up. They really had me there for a second until the end when the random person going, "Help me," came. Like, I'm sorry, but no, they set this up. That was one of their friends. They bought fake blood from Amazon or something like that, or from a party store, and then they made this trail, and then they went back to the beginning and then started to follow it. One of the people in the group, you don't even see all the friends in the group, like, at the end, so it could have been any of them, hunched down behind that thing and did in a weird little kid's voice to say, "Help me," and then he was like, "No, I'm leaving," blah, 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 blah. So many reasons. See, I think the blood is fake. Like I said, I'm sure they've just bought that from Amazon. That would have been really easy to set up if they wanted to. I think this video would have been really cool if it was just a blood trail. Like, that itself would have been really, really weird. They didn't need to ruin the whole thing by the clearly fake ending. The biggest reason that I believe that this is fake is because literally anyone over the age of 10 who encountered something like this would have immediately called 911 and had the police come and investigate and help. There's no way they were just like, "Oh, okay, no thanks, that's creepy. Who wants to go get froyo?" I do understand the guy running away. Like, if you thought that whoever did that to the alleged person was still in the area, like, I do understand running for your life, but you would call 911. And I don't know if that part was left out of the video maybe, but still, it just screams set up to me. Okay, and then this last one that we're going to watch from this year is from June 9th, and this one is from an account, Miss Abby Gale. So I have to read this one to you as well. So this one says, "Since everyone's telling their Randonautica stories, I did it by myself one day when I was like 17 to 18 and set my intention as purpose, like to show me my purpose in life. Took me down a dirt road to a single wide with a donkey in the yard, a 6-year-old running around in a diaper, and a ram with the sticker, "Real women drive trucks." The lady then stormed out in panties and a tank top to watch me turn around and leave. Pretty telling. So, where am I going with all of this? Almost all the Randonautica stories from 2020, from this year, from just in June, from all the ones in between could be explained by this whole mind-matter interaction thing, right? All these people setting their intention and it leading them to that intention. But I just want to point out that all of these could also easily be explained by confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is not a hypothesis, unlike the mind-matter interaction, which is simply a hypothesis with no evidence to back it up. Confirmation bias is a very well-known thing in psychology. Let me harp on confirmation bias for just a second to get my point across. Confirmation bias is the natural inclination that humans have. It's a bias. It's an unconscious bias. We don't mean to do it, but humans tend to naturally look for evidence in their surroundings and their environment to confirm, to strengthen their already held beliefs. So for example, you're trying to lose weight and you go on a diet. You pick the Atkins diet. You know, that super famous one from a couple decades ago where you go on a very, very low carb diet and it is notorious for not working. But you have it in your mind that this is the best diet out there, and so therefore you go online and you look up success stories. You only want positive stories from people that did, the very few people that did have success on the Atkins diet. And you look up articles and you find and read these articles talking about why it's the healthiest diet for you, why it's going to help you live longer, lose weight, have lots of friends, be famous and rich, blah, 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 blah. But because of this belief that this is the best diet and this is what's going to make you the glowing epitome of health, you ignore all of the bad testimonies about the Atkins diet. You ignore all the Reddit posts about how the Atkins diet made people gain all the weight back in a very short amount of time and then some, all the studies that back those claims up. You ignore how sucky it is to be on a low carb diet and how we actually do need carbs and all that. Another example is, say that you're terrified of bees. Every time you're eating a sandwich, a wasp comes up to you, one of those annoying wasps, specific species of wasp that attacks you anytime you're eating and won't leave you alone. You know those. And every time you're eating, a wasp comes up to you and you freak out, go inside, shake it all off of you, afraid that the wasp is still on you. And you think to yourself, why does this always happen to me? Why do wasps seem to seek me out? Why do they seem to only come to me and only harass me? And when I'm with other people, they seem to leave them alone. Like, why do they have this like vendetta against me? Like, I'm pretty sure it's because they know I'm afraid of them. So they seek me out because they want to mess with me. But your confirmation bias lets you believe that while ignoring, completely disregarding the thousands of times you've walked by flowers with bumblebees and they've left you alone, when you've walked by wasps and they've left you alone, when your mom was gardening one day and got attacked, brutally attacked, was sick for days because she accidentally disturbed a wasp nest that, you know, the wasps that go under the ground, and they got very mad at her. That's based on a true story, by the way. I'm not afraid of bees though, but my mom really did get attacked by wasps that one time, and it was the worst thing ever. Anyway, but you ignore all those other times that other people have been attacked, and you just stick with this belief that wasps have it out for you, even though there is evidence to the contrary. But that is part of your inherent belief, and so you seek out information to confirm that and strengthen that belief. You get it. I know most people know what confirmation bias is. I realize that, but I think it's important to harp on these examples because it makes it easier for us to apply it directly to Randonautica and all these viral videos. I don't personally believe that people are using their minds to affect the GPS points that come out of the app, as much as I kind of want to, because I'm so skeptical, I want to believe that there's paranormal and that there's otherworldly things. As interesting as I think the concept is, the mind-matter interaction concept is, and I'm not disregarding that that hypothesis completely. I just don't think Randonautica is actually proving it, because all of these situations could also be explained by confirmation bias. Randonautica's little trick is that it's not that they're quantum random number generators just sending you to a completely random, I mean, it is sending you to a completely random place. I do believe that part, but the point of the intention is not to see if your intention can affect where you go, but they know that if you have a word strong in your mind, you're trying to manifest that word, you are focused on that word, you're more likely to notice something related to it wherever you end up. You're gonna unconsciously look for stuff to confirm the belief and your hope that the intention you set out will affect your results. That account that we just watched, for example, where their intention was something sad and they ended up at a cemetery. Their intention could have been 1,000 other things and that cemetery would have matched it. So their intention could have been death. It could have been creature, cryptid. It could have been woman. It could have been scary, macabre, memories, darkness, hell. It could have been so many different things that you thought in your mind, and if you had ended up at that cemetery, you would have been like, oh my god, it worked. But it's because you're focused on that particular intention that you all set out, and then the groupthink, when you're not doing it alone too, the groupthink together is going to make that stronger. Those women that went to the burning building, or the just burning building after they set the intention of hot guys, they could have sent their intention again to death, to fire, destruction, rubble, abandoned, disaster, scary, police, crime scene, so on and so forth. It could have been so many things. Those that set their intention to money and found a suitcase, like, they could have also just like intended sketchy. Glitch in the Matrix, they probably would have interpreted as that. Kidnapping, death, crimes, you get it. You understand what I'm saying. You could pretty much apply the concept to any of these videos, and it could also be explained by confirmation bias. So that's my point. That's what I personally think all of this is. Will it stop me from randonauting? No, I do think it's really cool. And I do think that it is giving people more mindfulness. I do think it is important for us to go explore our environment with an intention in mind, to kind of appreciate where you end up more. Stuff like that. I don't necessarily think the app is a bad thing as a whole. I just think that their whole we're really trying to prove the mind-matter interaction hypothesis is just kind of BS. And I think they know that it's going to prove their hypothesis, because they know that people who set an intention are going to have confirmation bias. So that is Randonautica Revisited. I do kind of feel like Randonautica is going to make a comeback for summer. I don't think it's going to go like massively viral the way it did at first. Just like kind of Pokemon Go is still around, but it didn't like ever come back really. But I do think that people are kind of starting to go out exploring again, especially because the app, I believe, has kind of been revamped. Like, they changed their logo and stuff. And so I am interested to see as more videos come out, because again, regardless of my opinions about like what it really is, you know, that I think it's confirmation bias and not the mind matter interaction. That doesn't mean I don't find it interesting, and that doesn't mean I don't think it's a really cool concept. And anything that gets people outdoors more, honestly, and gets people more exercise, fun exercise and stuff, is a win in my book. So I personally think that the benefits outweigh the costs. So nobody come for me saying that I'm just hating on Randonautica, because I'm not. Okay, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like the video if you liked it, or dislike it. If you disliked it, that's fine too. Big thank you to all of my patrons on the screen right now, and I will see you all in the next one. Okay, bye.